Oh, gosh darn it, don't you know? I'm a cheesehead baby, the pride of Wisconsin.
And Grandma's cooking pot pie.
Oh, I'm not so typical. I'm a cheesehead baby, the pride of Wisconsin.
Mom's playing sheep's head.
Oh, I'm not so typical. I'm a cheesehead baby, the pride of Wisconsin.
Jim Bob, where the hell's my bowling ball?
Fala, nação, beleza? Aqui é o Guto. Mais uma semana, mais um podcast. Essa semana a gente está com mais um convidado estrangeiro aqui e a gente vai falar um pouquinho de Packers, de defesa e de muita NFL. Além da minha pessoa, tá comigo o Edu também. A gente vai fazer um bate-papo bem legal nas próximas horas. Edu, tudo certo?
Tudo certo, cara. Boa noite, tudo bom? Agradeço o convite para participar.
Então, bora lá, não deixe de se inscrever nas nossas redes sociais aí, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram e TikTok, @Lambeau Leapers, _. Vamos lá, então bora. First, thanks for coming and welcome to the Lambeau Leapers podcast, Ross. It's a pleasure talk to here. Ross is insider for the Packer Report 66, Bison Report, and like golf, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So the beginning is the simple. How did you become a Packers fan? And I like this team and the city. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
a
close friend.
kind of a fun story, I guess. I've told it a couple times. You know, the school I live at the school where Christian Watson played. That's where I live. And they have the exact same color scheme as the Packers. The exact same. I mean, the greens, if you look for like a paint code, they're slightly different, but not by very much. And so when I was very, very, very young, I mistook the Packers for North Dakota State because my dad played at North Dakota State. So I was born and raised that, to be a fan of them. So when I mistook the Packers for being the Bison of North Dakota State, I just kind of went with it because in the state that I live in, the Vikings are technically closer, but they're not in our state. You don't have to be a Vikings fan, thankfully. And so I just became a Packers fan. And the year after that happened, they won the Super Bowl with Brett Favre. And I've been hooked, been involved ever since.
Like cool. You watched too many Watson games, so
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen every game for Christian, a lot of them in person. And for what we do over at Bison Report, I mean, I've broken down a lot of them too. So, I tell people I've seen every snap of Christian's career probably at least 3 times.
cool, man. Edu, your time.
What was that?
No, euros.
Okay.
Edu, your time. Any questions for us?
Just a second. Guto, eu achei que você ia fazer as perguntas até chegar na minha.
Não, se você quiser ir antes da minha, não tem problema. Se quer que eu continue, então beleza.
Não, vai na ordem ali, daí eu faço só as perguntas que eu tinha mandado no grupo, beleza?
Tranquilo.
Pode ser?
Não, tranquilo.
Beleza.
Ross,
Yeah.
what was the most memorable moment for you covering the team in a few years?
Sure. I didn't actually start what you would call covering the team until 2013, and certainly didn't do it on a credentialed basis where I get to go to practice and I get to go to the press conferences and get to go to the games for free until Matt LaFleur came into town. We actually kind of arrived at the same time. I never technically really credential-wise covered the Mike McCarthy era at all. So covering the team, especially in a situation where I was in the building, I would have to say it was the win at Arizona. Just because I remember being in that press box, and when you're in the press box, a lot of the times, like Murphy's there, Goody's there, like that's where they also put the executives for the opposing team. They don't necessarily have a suite. So just like their live reaction to the Douglas interception, and there's no cheering in the press box, you're not supposed to, but just people's legitimately shocked reactions as it seemed like the Packers were going to give that game away, and then all of a sudden, boom, Rasul's got the ball and they're going to win. And then the post game press conferences and things of that nature. Just it was a heck of a win. It was and certainly memorable. Certainly, I don't go to a ton of road games. In fact, Andy Herman, my right hand man, takes care of a lot of the home games as well. But I happen to be in Arizona for that, and that one sticks out for sure.
Cool. The next personal question, the next question, personal, involving the pandemic. So, did the more rigorous period of COVID-19 in the way of information about the team, these players, what's the big problem in this period?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and this is rare, I would say, like my perspective, kind of managing a site or being the publisher more as being like on the beat. Like I would call Rob Demovsky on the beat. I would say that Matt Schneidman's on the beat. And I have tremendous respect for those guys, but like what I do is a little bit different. I could be on the beat, but I don't live there. So the COVID-19 pandemic actually made things way easier for me because I can be 500 miles away on the same Zoom call, and Schneidman lives downtown, and we're on the same Zoom call, even though I'm not in Green Bay. So in that way, I kind of miss COVID-19, or at least the certainly none of the terrible things that came along with it. But in that way, I kind of miss the protocols because at that time, I don't have the opportunity. I mean, my wife, my children are here. My wife has a business here. I have a business here. And so the opportunity to live in Green Bay has passed me by. That's not going to happen. I will visit. I love visiting, but I'm not going to live there. So the access via Zoom was awesome. And now we don't have it, and that's fine. But yeah, so for us, I have a unique perspective. I mean, for us, it made life easier.
Cool. This pandemic is so crazy, and this tragedy. So, a few questions, last questions, personals, and I go to the questions about the team and these players now. Okay.
Hey Ross. Really nice to be talking to you. I've been following you on Twitter for a couple of years now, and I really enjoy the content you put on there. My first question I have for you is about rookie receivers. Rodgers usually doesn't have a good track record with rookie receivers, but this year, given his age and his options, he kind of has to make it work because we used 2 prime picks to go get Watson, and Dobbs also seems to be a fine receiver. What do you think will happen in that regard?
It'll be very interesting. It's something I'm very much looking forward to watch. I'll be there for the first 2 days of camp. Because in a perfect world, if everybody stays healthy, everybody gets healthy, and everybody stays healthy, he can bring those guys along slow, because if Sammy Watkins can stay healthy and stay productive, he can be 1,000-yard receiver. Now, I don't know as though that's going to happen, but it can happen. It has happened. It literally has happened. So there's certainly a world, and they'll rotate guys, but there's certainly a world in which the top 3 receivers are Lazard, Cobb, and Watkins. And then, like I said, everybody gets healthy, everybody stays healthy. you start to involve Aaron Jones in the passing game. You start to involve Robert Tonyan in the passing game. They want to get a look at Tyler Davis. Big dog catches a ball every other week, whatever. You don't actually have to throw it to Watson and Doubs a ton. Now, I think their talent level, especially as they grasp the playbook, maybe we start to get into week 8, week 9, week 11, week 12, or as has happened with Watkins, as has certainly happened with Cobb, injuries, they might just have to play. And Rodgers is just going to have to get over it. And coming out in the next couple of weeks here at Pack Report, hopefully before camp, or the plan is before camp. Got all 7 games that the Packers have won under the Matt LaFleur era. They're 7-0 without Devontae Adams, with Matt LaFleur as the head coach. So they have game planned this before. And I've got all the film typed up, or excuse me, cut up. Our guy Dusty Evely did a great job with that. I'm excited to get into it. Excited to kind of take notes and gather information and really see kind of what they have done without a featured receiver. But this is really, I think, has a chance to be the ultimate evolution of what they want that offense to be, which is just run the offense. Don't need to run the offense through Devontae Adams. Just run the offense. So, I think obviously Watson and Doubs have a chance to be a part of that. I think they're going to be much better players in year 2 or year 3. Who knows if Rodgers will be their quarterback in year 2 or year 3. But, I think it's going to depend a ton on health, because I think if they stay healthy, there's a really good chance that Doubs and Watson are going to be options 4 and 5, not 1 or 2.
Okay.
All right, nice. Now, talking a little bit about the offensive line. For me, there's only one position open on the offensive line, and that's right guard. How do you think that position battle will shape up during training camp?
I'm very interested. I don't know if I agree with you.
Okay.
And a lot of it is health related, though. I think Bakhtiari is going to be back. I mean, this has been the strangest knee injury of all time. But and then I think they're going to move Jenkins out to tackle. And then if that's the case,
agree.
And Bakhtiari is available, and Jenkins is available, then you're right. Because John Runyon Jr. is not going anywhere, and Josh Myers isn't going anywhere. That other thing is really, really interesting, though. I'm excited for Sean Ryan. Royce certainly has ability, and I'm excited for him as well. And then Zach Tom, who I actually kind of view as more of like a center or a tackle, kind of like a J.C. Treader. I don't know if he really has the girth to be a guard. I don't know if he's got the weight in the seat of his pants. We'll find out, but Ryan does. Ryan's a bear. He reminds me a lot of Josh Sitton, and I am very interested to see if Royce can hold him off, because I don't think there's any reason to just assume that Royce isn't going to make it either.
Yeah, that's true. But I think there will be a lot of competition in there.
Yes.
Okay, now switching a little to the defense side of the ball. Based on your comments last year, you never thought this defense was as good as the majority did. Why did you think that? And what are the realistic expectations for this defense, with Joe Barry having probably the best talent this defense has had for at least 10 years?
Yeah, I really do like, and I know a lot of people disagree, but I really do like the DVOA statistic, because it does bring into account your strength of schedule. And so when you weighed their success against the strength of schedule, that didn't bear out so good. I mean, giving up 30 points to Tyler Huntley the week after you gave up 30 points to Justin Fields, giving up 37 points in the final week to Jared Goff and the Lions. And I understand that they played very, very well against San Francisco in the playoffs. I get all that. But ultimately, I just felt like they were average. And DVOA would tell you that they were actually a little bit below average. And I haven't seen literally ever Joe Barry coordinate an elite defense. It hasn't happened yet. Now, That doesn't mean it can't happen, but it literally hasn't happened yet. In fact, his defenses in Detroit and Washington were flat out bad. Now, this, as you just mentioned, this Packers defense has immensely more talent than that Detroit defense, than the Washington defense, and arguably, people stay healthy, more talent than the Packers defense last year. I love Devontae Wyatt, Quay Walker, whatever. I wouldn't have made that pick, but he's certainly something they didn't have before. You had Rasul, you had healthy Jair. I think that all certainly makes up for the loss of what was a declining Zadarius Smith with his back issues. So you're right. I think this is the most talented they've had on defense since the 2010 Super Bowl team. Ultimately, especially if you get like jumps in play from Gary, move to that all-pro level, and a jump in play from Savage, really, really grow into his game. And even a jump in play from Eric Stokes, which I think going from year 1 to year 2 is possible. So, expectations, I think they can win a Super Bowl if the defense is top 8. I think they'd be real Super Bowl contenders if the defense was top 5. I would just like to see the defense move into more, like in the advanced statistics, I would like to see the defense move into more of a top 10 area before I start to just bless them as elite. And I think they're capable of it. And we'll see, how the coordinator does. We'll see how open he is to kind of new ideas and staying ahead of the curve. That's ultimately what happened to, honestly, both Mike McCarthy and Mike Pettin. There was a time where Mike McCarthy's offense was awesome. It didn't evolve. There was a time where Mike Pettin's defense was awesome. It didn't evolve. You have to keep evolving in this game to combat what offenses are doing today. Not what they were doing 3 years ago, not even what they were doing last year. So we'll see, how things go. But personnel-wise, man, I'm very impressed with what Brian has done.
Yeah.
Okay, still talking about defense. The last year of defense was very good. But the next season, who of this defense will have a big jump in productivity?
Sorry?
Repeat?
Yeah, please.
Repeat?
Yep.
Okay. Still talk about defense, okay?
Yep. Oh, the jump in productivity. Yeah. So the two guys I'd like to look to see it from, I don't think you're going to get a huge jump in productivity from Gary. I think you might just see a little bit more consistency. The two guys that I would really like to see jumps from would be Stokes and Savage. Stokes has been excellent. If he plays like he did last year, he will be a very, very useful player. If he can play the damn ball in the air and actually catch interceptions, he will be a much more useful player. And I think if he just catches the balls that are thrown to him, that would just be a significant productivity jump. And we've just seen inconsistency from Savage as well. I mean, we've seen games where he looks like the best player on the defense, and we've seen games where he is legitimately a problem. And if we can even just even that out a little bit, you'll see a productivity spike because he does have elite athleticism and he does have elite ball skills. So Stokes and Savage are the guys that I would really be looking for a jump from, for sure.
Yes. I agree with you. Talk about linebackers. Quay Walker. What do you expect from here in the next season?
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what they do with Quay. I was flabbergasted by the pick. I was just shocked because this was a team that seemingly had a hole in the middle of its defense for 15 years, and they didn't do anything about it. You can argue about whether or not the AJ Hawk pick worked out, but since that pick, they just refused to take a linebacker high. And they had plenty of chances. They had a chance to take Miles Jack, and they took Kenny Clark. And you can run yourself through that scenario a million times as well. I think they could have taken Patrick Queen. Instead, they took Jordan Love. You can keep going and going and going about guys that they passed up on to take Jake Ryan in the middle rounds, or take Blake Martinez in the middle rounds, or do whatever. Take Brad Jones. Do a number of things. what they plan on doing with Quay Walker, I'm interested in. I saw his athletic profile and thought this could be a sub rusher, and if that's the plan, I'm very interested in kind of like a Hassan Reddick type of way where maybe you play off the ball first and second down, but on third down you're used as a weapon in the passing game. He's also very athletic and a decent player in coverage. So again, like I said, I would never have used the 22nd overall pick that I got for Devontae freaking Adams on an off-ball linebacker. I just wouldn't have done it. But if it's to play a different style of defense where you have him as more of the coverage linebacker and you have Campbell as more of the sideline to sideline guy that gets kept clean and makes all the tackles, I get it. If you think he can sub rush a little bit, well, then I definitely get it. So if he's used as a true weapon, and they almost, and this sounds insane because of all the studs they have, but if they almost design the defense around what they think they can do with Quay Walker, I'm interested. And that might be the plan because they have absolutely refused to spend draft capital at this position, and they spent a very important pick on it this year. So I'm very interested to see what happens with Quay.
Two of the first three picks, the rest in the defense. So I'm very interested for the next season about this team, about this defense. Uh, talking account the small depth of the rotation. Which sector is most concerned in this defense? The secondary, linebackers, edge rushers, defensive linemen.
As far as who isn't deep or where the depth is concerning, I think is very concerning in the secondary. I don't even know who the third safety is right now. And I think Keyshawn Nixon is maybe a little bit better player than people think. I don't think people know who he is. I think he has a chance to actually be okay. I know most people view him as, okay, he's a Raider. Bisaccia was with the Raiders. Bisaccia likes the way he plays special teams. They signed him. I think he can actually maybe play a little bit of defense. But other than that, you know, you're hopeful with Shamar John Charles. You don't know anything. They took another kid as a potential third safety who was a fifth-round pick of the Colts last year. His name is escaping me, but he has a chance. Obviously, Vernon Scott still has a chance. But, man, if there were, you know, a long-term injury like Jair's injury last year, I'm not sure what the plan would be. I also don't love the depth at edge rusher. I would really like it if they could talk Whitney Merciless out of retirement. I think that would be very big for this team. But if they don't, you know, there are options. I love Kingsley Enagbare. I can't believe they were able to get him when they did. I know folks are high on Tipa Yaliye. I know, you know, the front office has mentioned Randy Ramsey by name. I don't want to go back to the time when you were hoping and praying that Edge 3 was functional. Man, when it was Smith and Gary for that very, very, very brief moment, you know, even the one playoff game where you thought, man, they've got Smith and Gary and Merciless. What a time to be alive. And it just seems like heading into next year, we've moved away from that, or that's certainly not going to be the case.
Okay. The last question about defense. You say top 8 defense, but with everyone health, could we dream of a top 5 or top 3?
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, again, I have my own misgivings about the coordinator. I would have hired somebody else. They tried to hire somebody else, and Jim Leonard. We'll see. I don't know. Personnel wise, hell yes. Especially if Gary and Preston Smith stay healthy, and Devontae Wyatt is anything. Because if Devontae Wyatt is anything, and you have Wyatt and Clark rushing from the inside, and Smith and Gary rushing from the outside with a legitimately elite secondary, which they have if they stay healthy. This is a passing league, man. And honestly, with what I believe, what I think of TJ Slayton as a run defender or a potential run defender with Kenny Clark, the way he defends the run, Dean Lowry, the way he defends the run, the way Jerron Reed defends the run, and then Devondre Campbell being kind of that dude in the second level. Like, I don't think they're going to be embarrassing against the run. So if they're not embarrassing against the run and they're elite against the pass, that's a hell of a recipe. And I think they really have a chance to be great if Joe Barry does a good job and they stay healthy. I don't think top 5 or top 3 is out of the question. I believe in the personnel, absolutely.
One last question of the attack. Christian Watson, you watch a lot of games for this guy. What is most amazing in this game?
For Christian,
Yes.
it's just the athleticism. I mean, I've seen him jump over guys at full speed, like jump over them. I don't know if I'd try that in the league, but it's incredible. And the way he just gaps people, I think unofficially, I mean, I know I've talked to the guys that trained him in training leading up to the combine. He broke 4.3 plenty. He ran in the 4.2. So that 4.28 that they showed right away at the combine and then corrected it to whatever the hell they corrected it to, he's run 4.28, 4.29. I mean, he has done that before. And his size, the way that he just glides past defenders, and FCS is a lower level of football, no question, but he sometimes made guys looking like they had cement shoes on. I mean, it's crazy, the athleticism that he shows, and that is what defines him as a football player. I'm not saying he's not skilled. I'm not saying he can't become more skilled, but when you watch him, it's the athleticism that jumps out at you. He is bigger, he is faster, he is stronger, and he can jump higher. He does all of those things, and that is what jumps out.
The next Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
We'll close.
They do it very, very different ways. I mean, very, very different ways.
Yes, I agree.
Do you think LaFleur is salivating to use Watson as a gadget player?
I do.
At least for the first year.
I do, and especially and this is what I was kind of saying all along, which is just I don't think you're going to get Matt LaFleur to ever say, and he's probably right, that we're a better offense without Davante Adams. You don't just take the best receiver in the league off your team and become a better offense the next day. But with the resources that they've put into the offensive line in the draft, the 2 tailbacks that are probably both in the top 8 or 10 in the whole league, and kind of this complementary receiver group of big guys who can block, like they're going to run his offense. And that, I think, is what he actually is salivating about. Of course, he didn't want to lose Davante Adams, but this idea that Rodgers' security blanket is gone, and not that he doesn't think Rodgers is going to do the right thing, but like is just this throw it to who's open, run the offense, do what you're supposed to do. You're not going to force it to anyone, and that's what I think he is salivating about is this play is designed to go to this guy, and this is the backup plan, and this is the check down. And Rodgers is just going to kind of have to do that. And I think that is exciting to Matt LaFleur, as he really does have the joystick. I mean, he has the controller in his hands now.
For us to close our conversation, it's a quick game. Think fast. Okay? 1 minute. All right. Don Hudson, Bart Starr, who was better for you?
Starr, and that's just because I have so much respect for the quarterback position.
Ok. Pode botar o próximo aí. Who was better, Ed Lacy or Aaron Jones?
Eddie Lacy had better highlights, but Aaron Jones is the better player, especially just the way that he affects the game in all 3 phases. Eddie was a good pass blocker, but Aaron Jones is an elite runner, and yes, Eddie had some cool moments catching screens. You weren't lining Eddie one-on-one outside with a linebacker and running fly routes. I mean, that just wasn't going to happen. So Aaron Jones is my guy for sure here.
I pick him. Who was better, BJ Rod, Kenny Clark?
Kenny's probably a better player. I think BJ, due to his moments, is maybe more of a legend. that pick six in the NFC Championship game, the fact that he was on a Super Bowl champion, and kind of the mystery of his early retirement. What a short career that was. So he maybe is the more legendary player, but I think Kenny Clark is better.
Which one was worse? The opposite. Ladarius Gandhi or Nick Perry?
I would have to go with Ladarius. You know, Nick had everything. And I think you saw that in his contract here. It was unfortunately injuries that really were kind of what destroyed him, I think. Ladarius just didn't have it, and it wasn't really his fault. I mean, it's very hard to play corner in this league running a 4.7. It's just hard. I don't care if you're 6'3", because he was tall and long or whatever. But like, at their best, Nick Perry was a better player, and I think that's what matters to me.
And the last, a special Packers game for you.
For me, right before I kind of became what I am now, was from a media perspective. I had just gotten married, and I had been the best man at my best friend's wedding, and I gave for their wedding present. I said, you know, my then fiance, now wife, and I will bring you to a Packers game. We'll pay for everything, and so me and my wife and my best friend and his new wife went to the 20-0 comeback game against the Bears on opening weekend. And just the way that the crowd, I mean, it was like, it was like almost like a professional wrestling event. Like, almost like it was scripted, and the crowd just kept getting, they did the whole thing where the good guy's down on the mat, and then he comes back, and as the good guy was coming back, the crowd roared and roared and roared, and finally you got the storybook ending with the Cobb touchdown, and ultimately with the defensive stop that they were able to get as well. It was, man, it was something, and a moment I'll never forget.
That's it. Do any questions?
Do I have questions?
No,
yeah.
we do.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so your time.
Ross, if you wanna make any questions, you can.
No, I have no questions.
Okay.
I'm not even sure how good my answers are.
No,
So,
man.
Ross,
I don't have any more questions. Thanks, man.
okay, that's it. Ross, thank you for the time and appreciate your history and question and answers for my questions and 2 questions. And sure, thanks for the time.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
Então, galera que acompanhou até aqui, muito obrigado para quem veio. A gente vai ficando por aqui com mais um Lambeau Leapers podcast. Esse foi um bate-papo muito legal com o Ross Uglem. Até a próxima e tchau.